Creator family, welcome to the worst relationship advice ever. Now, I say that not because I believe it to be that way. I just won't be surprised if your brain feels that way when you first hear it because it goes counterintuitive to almost everything we do in and towards relationships. And you'll see that when you really get this, 99.99999% of people go about relationships wrong. And that's such a bold claim. And I totally get that. And not only when you understand the principles behind this, even when you understand the homework and what I think you do to improve it, I'm confident your mind's going to be like, yo, that's stupid. That's stupid. Like he said, that's the worst advice ever. But it works. And this isn't something I'm just saying from theory. This works for romantic relationships, okay, girlfriend, your marriage. This works for friendships, work relationships, kids, all relationships, okay? But just please do your best to watch to the end and watch with an open mind and really consider the things that I'm saying, okay? Now, there's some foundation some foundational work we got to lay down before we really get to my main point. But my first point here is written a little bit weird, but it's the idea that the human experience is a co-op game. Now, this is going to almost feel counterintuitive to what I'm going to say after this, but it's important that we understand that no one is self-made, okay? We like to think that, we're on some island of achievement by ourselves. This is us holding the trophy of awesomeness, okay? And we're just on this island and we didn't get any help from anyone else. But if we're honest, I mean, everything from the food you eat, the road you drive on, the places you work, all of those things require other people. And if you try to go through life solo, it just won't work. It'll be a very painful experience. And I like to use this analogy to kind of segue us into the next point. This is not going to be some good artistic skills, dang. Let's this is supposed to be a couch, all right? So let's say you and I are moving a couch. The point here is that, like, I can't do it on my own. There's so much of this life that, like, even if I'm big and strong, I need someone else big and strong to do the more meaningful, the bigger things in life. I think you get that. Now, as we move into our next point, though, it's still important to be self-reliant. And that's not really a word or phrase that we hear these days. So I want to explain it. Self-reliance, actually, make sure I'm over here on the right spot. Let's move into the second point, which is you can only be full within yourself. Okay? And going back to this analogy right here, self-reliance means I'm bringing my best game to the table with zero need for me to be full and for me to be okay in life. A better way of saying that, and I have a whole video on this, something titled like the two worlds that you can go check out. But you have two different experiences. You have let's just say right here, I don't know why your head's all funny. You go out and do things, right? You go and try and get money so you can have a house. You go try to talk to pretty girls, whatever it is. You might play a sport, okay? Whatever it is, you do what you do in the outer world. You do it to feel a certain way on the inside. Like, you have to understand that. And no matter what you do in this outer world, none of those can ever make you feel fulfilled and satisfied and just overall okay on the inside but you. So while there's many people that populate the world and you need their help, there's only you on the inside of here. And that's the beauty of it, though. Like, people can take things from you in the outer world. They can literally take you physically. They can torture you, hold you hostage. But the one thing they can't do is actually like go inside your body and take over your mind, your emotions. These are things that you get to steward, and you're the only one that will ever steward it. And so, again, going back to the analogy, of course you need people to help you move the couch. But if I was severely weaker than the person I was helping move the couch, they still wouldn't be able to move it because I'm not doing my part. And this is the analogy we need to have for relationships. Of course, we need relationships in this world, not just for moving couches, for building businesses, for building families, for working, whatever it may be. But never, ever, 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 ever can that relationship exist for our inner well-being. And this is where I'm going to start losing some of you guys. Because you swear that, Dion, I have my wife and she makes me happy. Or I have, my kids over here. I don't know why they don't have arms. Let me get you. You good. I got all my kids over here and I love them so much. I'm not saying you can't do that and you can't really adore them and appreciate them in your life. But if those kids need to exist or need to act a certain way for you to be okay on the inside, you'll always be a slave to them in their existence. And this, the sad reality we have to understand is that there is a world where your kids can be taken from you. Your spouse can be taken from you. And I'm not just saying through like a divorce or, a fight or things just, there's disagreements. Of course that can happen. But I'm saying you could wake up, think your family's just going to the store and there's a car accident. Like we know there's people that is their reality today. Someone woke up, did not plan to die today, and yet they will. And if your whole identity, your sense of being, your okayness is tied into that person, this is what Jesus is talking about when he says if you cling to this world, you'll lose it. Because in this three-dimensional world, it's finite. It's you're supposed to die. No one makes it out of this alive. And so there's always this cyclical or transitory motion in this world. And if you try to hold on to it and make it stay still, you just can't. The book of Ecclesiastes talks about it being like a vapor or smoke. It can look really beautiful, but when you try to control it and grab it, you can't. And so, what does this mean? And I'm going to get to my third point here. That every relationship is better when you don't need it. Because think about it. Most relationships, we convince ourselves that it's like love and that we're just all about this person. It's really manipulation. Now, your defense mechanisms are going to be going crazy. I told you this was the worst advice. You got to hear me out. So you have you and you have your girl. Okay? She got a big head, but you love her. And you swear that she makes you happy. And if you guys just got together last week, that might be the case. But I promise you, any relationship of any length, go ask your parents, go ask friends that have been together. They will tell you that person doesn't always make them happy. Or that person has made them sad or angry or whatever. But then that goes to show you that person isn't your happiness. Or else you would always be happy when they are around. And it's worth understanding when we go back here. It's just that feeling of love or goodness or happiness or whatever. Remember, you're not experiencing it in the outer world. Yes, she's there. Her breasts might be out. But that happiness that you're creating because of that, it's on the inside. It's not an outer. You don't see it floating in front of you and you're interacting with it. Okay, and the same time when she pisses you off, that's an inside job. It's not happening outside of you. I keep repeating that, but that's fundamental for you to get this. And most relationships are just manipulation because we'll say, hey, I got with you because remember, you make me happy. You check the boxes. Okay, you do this, you do that, you do the things. And I've made up this story in my head that when these boxes are checked, me over here, okay, I become happy when you do those. Now, here's the thing. When you stop checking those boxes, let's say she was always so kind, now she's mean. She used to be respectful and supportive, and now she's not. When those boxes aren't being checked, do you still feel the same? Chances are, if you're like most people, you don't, because it's very conditional love. And they have to do a certain amount of things, and they also can't do a whole other list of things. And if they do, you don't feel the love at all. And we'll get to how you can actually get to a place of love. I don't believe that's love. I believe that's manipulation. Love doesn't have conditions. Love doesn't need you to do this, this, and this, and then I'll act a certain way. And I can't tell you how many men are being manipulated and being manipulative in their relationships. And so it's worth considering, are you loving the person truly for the soul that they are, or is it the list of benefits that you think come from them? Now, hear me out. I am so okay with there being benefits in a relationship. Actually, I think all relationships are only should be like transactional, but only in this three-dimensional world. So, of course, we play baseball and you are a great teammate. We can be great teammates. We can win the World Series. Let's team up and do that. But never are you my baseball friend and we got to win the World Series so I can be okay on the inside, so I can be at peace. Of course, you seem like a woman that's amazing. You can be committed to me. We share values and we can build an amazing family together. But never, hey, we're doing this so that I can be okay and be at peace. Now, we're going to get to love here in a little bit. Stick with me. Of course, you can be a business partner because you know how to code. I know how to market. I think it'll be a great team, and we can go build out something that could make us money, help people in the world. Great reason to have a relationship. But we're buddies or we're business partners so that I could be okay. Friendships, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, hey, we have certain hobbies, we have certain interests, we play video games or whatever. Of course, hey, let's be friends, let's link up, let's play games. I need someone to drop in with Warzone or Arc Raiders or whatever it is. But if you can't play or we can't hang out or you go missing, you get kidnapped by the cartel, I need to know how to be okay regardless of what's happening. Now, this almost sounds cold-blooded, like it is, like you're almost like not caring about people or you're being like cold or stoic. And actually, it makes every relationship better when you don't need it because you're not moving with this checklist of manipulation. So for me, what this looked like as I matured, because I did not understand this when I first got married. But at first I would be like, man, if my wife wasn't in a good mood, I would let it bother me. And I'd be like, yo, why she mad? Why she angry? Why she whatever. And I would have this checklist of things that she's not doing. Oh, she woke up with an attitude. She didn't hug me and greet me this way. And because I was so focused on the list that she didn't do, it became all about me. Instead of when I got to a place when I could just wake up and be okay, whether she was okay, the world was okay, your mama and them were okay or not, then I could see her for what she's really going through and then be a source that she can pull from to feel better. Because I'm not thinking about me. I'm already okay. All right? What do you need? What's bothering you? And then you're in such a better place. Same with your friends. You're not trying to get anything out of the relationship. You're already good. You're just bringing your best. An analogy I like to do with this, give here as well, is let's say this is you, okay? I'm going to just draw on the other side of you. Let's say I brought you your favorite food, okay? It's in this box right here. After a few boxes, you'd be full, right? Even though you love that food, it is your favorite food. But let's say I just kept having boxes delivered every hour. Eventually, you're going to be like, yo, I'm full. I don't want no more. You're probably going to start taking those plates and giving them out. Okay? It's just like, yeah, I just don't need it. And it's that exact same way when you show up to relationships, not needing someone to respect you, not needing someone to uh, act like you're this or that, or you don't need someone to love you or all these things. You become a beacon of love because love doesn't have reasons. Love is a state of being. It's not an action. It's not an emotion. Love flow like, and I'll draw it like this: like you have different consciousness or levels of being. Okay, and think of these lower ones like stuff like guilt, shame, anger. Okay, and at the top here you have love. Love is a vantage point. It's not I do this because I love you, because that action could look different in different seasons. How I move from love with my kids sometimes looks like discipline. Sometimes it looks like taking my youngest daughter to the doctor for her to get poked and get shots and feel the most pain she's ever felt and looking at me like, why did you betray me? To her, that doesn't feel loving. Okay, from my vantage point, very loving. From her vantage point of just pain and down here in survival, she can't even see that. And so it's not about how someone judges the actions. It's what are you doing from that state of being? And this is the example of Christ dying for people that were actively cursing him out, spitting on him, disrespecting him. And his response is forgive them because they just don't know what they're doing. It wasn't like, oh, you're treating me this way, so I'm going to treat you that way. Love is never about the other person. It's about who you are. And so the loving person isn't keeping count. They're not calculating. They're not like, oh, did you do me wrong? Do you deserve this? Because that's a game you need to play when you're playing manipulation. When I need you to not yell at me, not disrespect me to be okay. But when you're just full, right? I've been sending you canes every hour. You don't care if people talk about you. And let me keep it more food related for that. You don't care if people steal your food. You don't care if people are asking for it. Again, you're willingly sharing it. But again, when you're full emotionally, you're not worried about what this person thinks. You're not worried about what they're saying about you or what they're doing without you. And it flips all the relationships on their head. Because some of you might even be wondering, like, well, damn, well, what's the point of relationships? Oh, I explained it to you. It's just counterintuitive to what you always thought it was. Of course, you need help lifting the couch. You need help building the business, building the family, whatever it may be. But why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you're already okay? Or are you doing it for that person to be your checklist? You get a girlfriend and you just get into ownership mode. She's mine. She got to do this. She can't do that. And that's why you can't bring your best to that relationship. I have some supporting videos. Go check them out. Like a lot of the ones before this will give you another kind of like a surrounding foundation to help digest this a little bit easier. But how do we make things practical from here? Okay, let me give you some homework because I actually have a group coaching call I got to get ready for. Now, as always, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. The number one homework, the best homework for you is the link in the description. Okay? We do, my bad. We do so much of this and more and build on it in the link below. Check that out. And there's free options, so there's no excuses. Next, I would have you do a relationship audit. Okay? And there's two parts to this. All right? I'll have you do a sit-down version. And then I would have you throughout day version. So the sit-down version is just going to sit back and think of your top 3 to 5 relationships. Okay? It could be a spouse, kids, coworkers, friends, people that you're just constantly dealing with. And I want you to scan it for, what are the ways that I'm moving where I'm just being manipulative? Like I need them to be a certain way. Now, trust me, if you say, hey, I have a business partner, but I'm thinking of moving on or I'm upset with the relationship because they're not pulling their weight, again, that's mechanical. That's how you should look at the relationship. If you got to end it, work on it, great. But their behavior should not be creating voids inside of you, right? So I want you to audit your relationships and ask yourself, where am I needing certain things from people? And then identify what those are. And that on its own will give you just a lot of clarity, and it should equip you to do the second part on its own. But still, be mindful as you go throughout your day, and you notice the things that you say or that you don't say or that you're expecting from people, and notice what it does to your insides, whether you get a little upset about things, whether you start to get offended, and notice the control that the people in the outer world are having over you. All of those are puppet strings that can control you and actually have you show up in the relationship worse. And so I want you to notice that. And then the homework, this is why I said you're not going to like this either, is to just watch it. And it's less about doing things. So when you notice that, hey, I'm really clingy in this relationship because I feel like when they do these things or say these things, I feel good or loved or whatever it may be, don't go to like do extra things to not feel that way. I want you to learn to watch it and just not give into it. So if you notice yourself doing certain things to get attention, notice it, and then you're actually just not going to do it. And you are going to feel like you are burning. Okay? This is what working through passion always feels like. You are going to feel like you are on fire mentally, like you're going to feel lonely at times. And maybe some extra credit would be to put yourself in positions where maybe you don't accept every invite, and you work on being at home and being okay with that and not needing people to be okay. That doesn't mean you won't interact with people. It's inevitable. Okay. You couldn't do anything without it, but it's just how you're doing it. You're doing it from a place of fullness, not trying to be full. But what this burning is, it's like the gold purification process. What they do is they heat it up really hot, and the gold, liquefies, and all the impurities rise to the top. And I believe it's called the Dross cap. Don't quote me on that. Ask AI. But essentially all the bad stuff from the gold, it just works its way to the top, and it forms like a little, dirt cap or whatever that solidifies. And then it's like, boom, you have pure gold underneath it or outside of that cap. And that's what's happening for you, is some of that dependency is burning away, and you're building that self-reliance. The only reason I kind of sound crazy and you've never really got there is because you always stop when that burning gets intense. But think about it, just like when you're at the gym. What does that burning mean? That burning means there's progress. And sometimes you got to go through weeks or months of burning at the gym to start to notice things. I actually think it can be faster than that here, but you still need to be committed in the same way and not thinking like, oh, I had one night where I was burning with passion, but I didn't give in. Am I healed now? Like, no, brother. You're probably still real dependent on people. But if you work at this, okay, notice a little checklist that you're creating for people. Watch them. Don't do anything. Watch the waves rise and fall. I promise you, within time, you will be a very, very self-reliant man where you show up strong to help people, but you don't need them. I hope that blessed you. If it did, please let me know in the comment. If you need some coaching, either one-on-one group, check that link in the description. And until next time, God first. God bless.